While the Kremlin has already confirmed a key bilateral between the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Russian President Vladimir Putin at the sidelines of the crucial SCO summit in Uzbekistan this week, reports are now coming in that Prime Minister Modi might hold some more one-to-one talks with other key leaders from the member countries, with particular focus on China and Pakistan. Prime Minister Modi and Chinese leader Xi Jinping are set to be in the same room for at least 2 sessions at the summit. This will be the first in-person encounter between the 2 leaders since the Galwan incident, while the exchange of pleasantries between the 2 leaders is not being ruled out. People familiar with the matter, however, have said that there is no word yet on a structured bilateral meeting. The recent decision by India and China to pull back the troops from Patrolling Point 15 or PP-15 has fueled intense speculation about the possibility of the first face-to-face bilateral meeting between Prime Minister Modi and the Chinese president.
A bilateral meeting between the Indian Prime Minister and the Pakistani Prime Minister is a far-fetched idea. But a pull-aside will be known as a miracle. We know that when it comes to India, the major issue has been Pakistan's support to cross-border terrorism. For Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, any meeting with the Indian side means facing the wrath of Imran Khan. So the relationship remains in deep freeze, a freeze which is unlikely to go very soon.
India and China have been locked in a military standoff in Ladakh along the line of actual control since May 2020. And New Delhi has repeatedly linked the normalization of overall ties with Beijing to the restoration of peace and tranquility in the border areas along the LAC.
Much of the future of Asia depends on how relations between India and China develop in the foreseeable future. For ties to return to a positive trajectory and remain sustainable, they must be based on the 3 mutuals: mutual sensitivity, mutual respect, and mutual interest. Their current status is, of course, well known to all of you. I can only reiterate that the state of the border will determine the state of the relationship.
Well, not only Xi Jinping, Prime Minister Modi will also be meeting Pakistan's new Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif during the summit. Although both the leaders will be under the same roof, there has been no confirmation yet about whether they will be holding any bilateral talks or not.
A structured bilateral meeting between Pakistani Prime Minister and the Indian Prime Minister is a far-fetched idea. But any pull-aside will be termed as a miracle. For India, the major issue has been Pakistan's support to cross-border terrorism. But for Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, any meeting with the Indian side means facing the wrath of former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan. So the relationship remains in deep freeze, a freeze which is unlikely to go very soon. With video journalist Ajit Siddhansibal for WION in Samarkand, Uzbekistan.
Prime Minister Modi is also expected to hold bilateral meetings with the Uzbek president and the Iranian president on the sidelines of the summit. The Indian leader is likely to underline the threat from extremism at the upcoming summit while seeking a zero-tolerance policy on terrorism. The SCO summit, which is scheduled to take place from the 15th to the 16th of September, will be attended by leaders of the SCO member states, observer states. At the summit, the leaders would be reviewing the SCO's activities of the past 20 years and discuss various aspects related to multilateral cooperation, as well as issues of regional and global importance. And we earlier spoke to our Pakistan Bureau Chief, Anas Malik, who is in Samarkand. Take a look.
the key focus from Pakistan is only one-point agenda. It's engagement, engagement and engagement. Remember, this comes in the backdrop of the recent flood fury that Pakistan as a country, the catastrophe that it's facing. In Uzbekistan, there's only one-point agenda, is to engage with the outer world. There are 14 leaders, and at least what we know that there are attempts being made for at least 11 meetings or 11 bilaterals of the Pakistani Prime Minister with his counterparts. That includes a meeting with President Xi, which is now confirmed, a meeting with President Putin as well, that is also confirmed, and a meeting with the Turkish president. Alongside that, he will be meeting with his Kyrgyz, with his Tajik, with his Uzbek counterparts, with his Turkmen counterparts as well. Now, what is also very interesting is that just a short while back is when the Mongolian president arrived. The Irani president is due to arrive today as well. In a short while, we'll be seeing the Irani president being arriving, but the hotel alignment or the stays are very interesting. The Pakistani delegation is almost across or quite nearby to where the Indian delegation is staying, and while officials have ruled out the probability of a structured meeting between the two, they are not ruling out a probability of a handshake or an informal pull aside. And remember, it was this very forum, the SCO, in 2019 in Bishkek, when the two prime ministers formally met. The then Pakistani Prime Minister walked up to his Indian counterpart in the holding room in July 2019 and congratulated him, and since then there have been no formal interaction per se. So all eyes would be on in here in Uzbekistan on this on the two elephants in the room, Pakistan and India, whether they get to interact or not.
WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.